Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I'm Alden, and I never expected a careless joke to become the breathing crack that split my marriage open. Even now, months later, I still hear the echo of my own laugh, too loud, too thoughtless, followed by the look on my husband's face. A look that didn't belong to the man who once chose me in a room full of people. A look that made me realize some wounds don't bleed. They just hollow you out. Maren and I had been married for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but we were steady in the way people envy from the outside. Shared routines, private jokes, quiet mornings where the world felt soft. We didn't fight much. We didn't raise our voices. Our life was built on small consistencies, not fireworks. Maybe that's why the ending felt so sharp. Calm waters hide silent fractures. It happened on a Friday night, at Rowan and Elise's apartment. They'd invited us over for dinner, a little gathering to break the monotony of the workweek. Nothing fancy. Just pasta, cheap wine, music in the background. Comfortable, familiar. I remember feeling light, unburdened for once. Work had been exhausting, but the kind of exhausting that feels survivable when you're sitting around friends. We were in the kitchen when it happened. Elise was teasing Rowan about something. His habit of over-seasoning everything, and I chimed in with a comment I thought was harmless. I don't even know what possessed me to say it. Maybe the wine. Maybe I was trying too hard to be funny. Maybe I was trying too hard, period. He's nothing compared to Jason from my office, I joked. Now he's someone you'd want to marry. The room laughed, because that's what rooms do when someone makes a joke loudly enough. But Maren didn't. He stood completely still, the bottle of sparkling water paused halfway to his glass. His expression wasn't angry, not then. It was something heavier, something tired. Like he had been waiting for that moment without knowing he was waiting for it. I brushed it off. I thought maybe he just didn't like the joke, or maybe he was embarrassed. I kissed his cheek and whispered, "Relax, babe, it's a joke." But he didn't soften and I didn't push it. I should have. I see that now. The evening continued, but from that point on, Maren was silent. Not cold, just absent. Like someone dimmed the lights inside him. He drove us home without saying more than a few words. His hands were steady on the steering wheel. His posture perfect, his breathing calm. But that calmness felt dangerous, like the quiet before a storm. When we got home, he went straight to the bedroom. I followed, ready to apologize properly, but he was already changing into a t-shirt, pulling off his watch and placing it on the dresser with slow precision. "Maren, I'm sorry," I said. "It was stupid. I didn't mean anything by it." "I know you didn't," he replied, but his voice was flat. "Then talk to me." "I don't think you meant it," he repeated. "But I think you meant something." I didn't understand. Or maybe I didn't want to understand. I told myself he was exaggerating, that it was just a joke, that he was being sensitive. But he wasn't a sensitive man. He was an observant one. And observant people don't react to jokes. They react to patterns. He sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees. "Alden, you've been distant for months. Not cold. Just somewhere else. And tonight, it felt like you finally said what you've been feeling." My breath caught because the truth in his words was too close. Too accurate. I didn't have feelings for Jason. Not even remotely. But Maren wasn't talking about Jason. He was talking about the fading effort, the growing silences, the way I'd stopped reaching for him first. I thought he hadn't noticed. I was wrong. I opened my mouth to defend myself, but nothing came out. I couldn't lie, he would hear it. I couldn't tell the truth either, because I didn't even know what the truth was. I just knew something in me had shifted, and I didn't know how to shift it back. Maren stood up slowly, as if convincing himself to move. He walked to the closet, pulled out an overnight bag and set it on the bed. "What are you doing?" I whispered. "Taking space." "For how long?" He didn't answer. He didn't shout. He didn't slam anything. He just packed a few clothes, his toothbrush, his medication, and his silence. When he zipped the bag, the sound felt like a verdict. The last thing he said before walking out was, "I love you, but I don't know if you love the version of me you're married to anymore." And then, just like that, he left. And that was the last time I saw my husband. The next morning, his side of the bed was cold. Not just empty, cold. The kind of cold that sinks into your stomach and spreads upward, until your chest feels hollow. I remember lying there with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, telling myself he would come home once he cooled off. Marin wasn't impulsive. He wasn't dramatic. He was the kind of man who fixed things, not abandoned them. But by noon, the silence in the apartment felt too heavy to ignore. His toothbrush was gone. His running shoes. The jacket he wore on chilly nights when he walked to clear his mind. I opened the laundry hamper. Even the shirt he'd worn the day before had disappeared. He hadn't left in anger. He'd left with intention. The next 2 days moved slowly. I checked my phone obsessively, waiting for his name to light up the screen. Nothing. I drafted messages I couldn't bring myself to send. Things like, "Sorry. Please come home." I didn't mean anything by the joke. "Miss you. Miss us." But every time I typed something I deleted it. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know what he needed from me. And worse, I didn't know what I needed from myself. On the 3rd day I finally messaged him. "Alden, can we talk? Please." He didn't respond that day. Or the day after. Or the day after that. What people don't talk about is how quiet a home becomes when love leaves it. Not just the absence of a person. It's the absence of the version of yourself that only exists with them. I hadn't realized how much of my daily rhythm came from Marin. His laugh in the mornings. His humming when he cooked. His shoes by the door. His warmth next to me at night. Without him, everything felt unbalanced, like a song missing its bass line. A week passed before I finally called Rowan. He answered on the 2nd ring, sounding cautious. "You okay?" he asked. "No," I admitted. "Have you heard from Marin?" There was a pause, the kind that lasts longer than it should. "He texted Elise. Just said he needed time." The most ambiguous word in the dictionary. Enough to keep hope alive, enough to starve it slowly. I spent the next 2 weeks examining every moment of our marriage, like replaying old security footage trying to catch something you missed. I replayed the joke, my stupid, careless joke, until the words lost their shape. But the more I thought about it, the more I understood. The joke wasn't the wound. It was just the moment the wound bled. Marin had been quiet for months. I'd noticed it in small ways. The way he hesitated before reaching for my hand. The way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention. The way conversations felt shorter, tighter, thinner. He wasn't pulling away out of resentment. He was pulling away out of fear. Fear that I was already halfway out the door emotionally, long before he ever packed a bag physically. And the truth was, I had been distant. Not because of another man, not because I didn't love Marin, but because I had stopped understanding myself. Life had become a blur of work, exhaustion, and numbness. I was disconnected from everyone, including the person I loved most. Marin mistook that numbness for rejection. And I didn't notice it happening soon enough to stop him from hurting. On the 19th day I got a message. "Marin, I'll come by tomorrow around noon to pick up the rest of my things." I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. Part of me wanted to tell him no. To beg him to stay. To promise I would try harder. But the larger part, the part shaped by his absence, knew something else. Begging doesn't rebuild respect. It doesn't restore trust. It doesn't erase fear. The next day noon came. I waited on the couch, hands clasped tightly. Heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my fingertips. The door opened quietly. Marin stepped inside. He looked older. Not physically, emotionally. Like he'd been carrying something heavy for weeks. "Hi," he said. "Hi." We stood there for several seconds, neither of us knowing where to stand, what to ask, what to confess. Then he walked to the bedroom to gather his things. I watched him from the hallway. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I didn't trust myself to speak without breaking. When he finished packing, he set the bag down gently. "I'm not angry at you," he said. "I want you to know that." "I know," I whispered. "But you're leaving." He nodded. "I am. Not because I stopped loving you. I just stopped recognizing myself in our marriage. And I think you did too." I felt something unravel inside me, quietly without drama. "I didn't want to hurt you," I said. "I know," he replied. "But sometimes hurt isn't about intention. It's about impact." He slung the bag over his shoulder. "The door," he paused. "I hope you find a version of yourself you don't have to numb," he said softly. "And I hope you find someone who sees that version clearly." And then he left. No shouting. No accusations. No final dramatic declaration. Just a door closing gently, and the echo of the life we almost kept. That was the last time I saw my husband.